What is up, everybody? It is Double G on our WWE Post Game live Clash in Paris recap. And we have the rap crew hanging out with me. As you can see, if you're watching on video, Keila Cash hanging in there. What's going on, Keila?
Hello, everyone.
And of course, we have, he's perky tonight. Must have been a good show. Scott Young, what is up, my friend?
Oh, not a whole lot. Thank you for having me. As always, it's a pleasure to chop it up and talk all things WWE. And yeah, that was a pretty good show.
Pretty good show. It's the Lame Duck Peacock show. I was actually surprised to see ESPN and Netflix all over that show for Peacock, but it is the swan song, at least for WWE PLEs. For now, they have the NXT shows, the NXT PLEs. They also have the archive still, which I think people are assuming will eventually go to ESPN. I kind of threw this out there. I would love to see the AAA WWE events on Peacock. Nothing against YouTube, but I just think the gloss and the sheen of Peacock has worked in the past, and maybe they could strike a deal and get those shows on Peacock. And, they'll still have the Saturday night main event shows, which are now only on Peacock, no longer on NBC. So there will still be WWE content on Peacock. But this was the last of the PLEs. And I will say, on paper, I thought the show was kind of like a B-C show, nothing really all that impressive on the WWE side. But as happens when you actually do watch the show, I thought it over-delivered than what I thought I was going to see. And I was pretty happy with it. I mean, you think about, at least for me, I know you guys are on the East Coast, but for me, I think I started the show at like noon. So I started about an hour in, and I caught up like right to the end of the match. And it's a nice little midday afternoon show. Though, as I said, when I was talking to Jeremy last week after the AEW Forbidden Door show, I kind of like the Sunday evening shows or the Saturday evening shows better because it just feels a little bit more important. The afternoon shows, you're just like, oh, it's just wrestling on television like a normal television show is. So I like it when we move back to the next September 20th, the head-to-head All Out and WrestlePalooza. I think that will feel big. This was a good show, but it didn't necessarily feel like a giant deal because it was just kind of in the middle of the afternoon. But let's lay out the headlines of the show. I think the biggest news to me, and you guys let me know what you think. Finally, we get Becky Lynch and Seth on screen together as a tandem. I don't know if this means Becky Lynch is going to be a part of Vision. I don't know if this means when Becky Lynch has a match, Paul Heyman's going to be out there with her. I don't know if this means she's seconding Seth Rollins in matches. I don't know if this means Seth Rollins is seconding her in matches. But for the first time, it does feel like they have put them together as a team, as a power duo, as a power couple on WWE television. Keila, what did you think when you saw Becky Lynch come out in the main event and help Seth Rollins pin CM Punk? And before you even answer that, did you know it was Becky Lynch when she was about to unmask?
I did. When she came out there, I was like, you know what? That is a female physique. That is probably Seth's wife. And I was like, okay, this was unexpected because I was on the timeline. I always read theories online as the show is ongoing. And they had like this idea that Tony D'Angelo was going to be the new fourth person of the Vision. I was like, okay, that's an interesting choice. I said, no. So when I saw Becky, I was like, wow, this is different. I was surprised by it. And to me, it made sense because Seth had no one else he could rely on besides his wife. And I was actually here for that.
I'll tell you what I thought. Damn, they grabbed Marina Shafir. I can't believe it. That's what I thought when I saw who was in and then, I figured it out at some point. But my initial thought was, oh, man, she jumped. They got Marina. she was in that system before and blah, 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 blah. But anyways, all right, Scott, power couple here. Is this something that you've been looking forward to? Like, were you happy to see them get together and create whatever havoc they're going to create storyline wise?
Yeah, it brings back fond memories of last time that they were the power couple. Last time they were both champions together, and Baron Corbin hit Becky Lynch with the end of days. So yeah, it brings back great memories of these two as a power couple, going up against the power tandem of Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Just great times to look back on. No, this feels good. I think this automatically elevates the IC title even more, just because it's going to be seen right beside Seth. I hope it's more of a slow reveal of her being in the group, if that is what's going on. Or maybe this is kind of how we get the friction with Braun Breaker, because it could be lead to maybe Seth Rollins having, split allegiances. Do you listen to your wife better, or do you listen to Paul Heyman and the boys? So it's very interesting what they have going on, and I think they've done a good job with it.
Wait, remind me, who's Braun's lady in NXT?
Izzy Dane.
Izzy,
Ooh.
That's right. Maybe she gets brought to the main roster.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting. By the way, I want to shout out to people who are checking us out on the YouTube feed. Zach is hanging out in the chat. Zach let us know that today was National Eat Outside Day. I did not know that, and I did not eat outside, unfortunately. And National South Carolina Day. Shout out to Dawn Staley. I'm sure she celebrated. Fernando's in the chat. Maria Graciella's in the chat. And our guy, Paul Fontaine, also in the chat. He actually watched a pay-per-view within hours of it airing. Congrats, Paul. And there's a chance that Paul and I will chat about this tomorrow on Takedown as well. Okay, so when Seth won at WrestleMania, I think I just, everyone has their takes. I was like, okay, I wonder if we're going to redo Triple H and Stephanie with Seth and Becky. Now, you can't do it in the same way, because that was that time frame is not very fond. I don't think we're fond of that time frame necessarily. Company's still doing very well. You saw the 30,000 people in that stadium today or earlier today. But there is an interesting dynamic between the two, where WWE kind of leans a little bit more to the, I guess you would call them the smart mark fans these days. And, Becky has kind of leaned in there in her outside of character interviews and such, or tweets, or whatever you call it. I think it's an interesting play. I just wonder how heavy they lean into the power dynamic, and whether or not this just becomes like the lead segment on Raw, every other show, because I think there's a balance, right? I think they can be very unique and kind of hot together, but if you force feed them down our throats, I think it could get pretty lame very quickly. Keila, what do you want to see out of this duo?
I'm so traumatized by 2019. I'm not going to lie, but Redacted's not there as head of creative. And I think they get to do more together in moderation, which I think is key. I don't think they should be a full-time power couple. I think they should be together as needed. Seth and Becky can thrive on their own separately as champions, and when need be, they can come together, be a tag team, cause some trouble. It kind of reminds me, and I cannot believe I'm saying this on a live microphone, Miz and Maurice. It worked well for them in moderation. Maurice came back, elevated her husband, and in this case, Seth and Becky can elevate each other when need be. Let me get something to drink, because I just complimented the Miz.
Someone's looking very smiley over there. You complimented the Miz. Scott, your what's your dream creative for adding Becky to Seth, and maybe even to this group, for all we know?
Oh, it just happened. Keila complimenting the Miz on a live stream on the show. So that was the end game of the entire thing. So this worked out perfect. Honestly, I think her in the group should be the end game. I just think the female presence in that group just adds a whole nother dynamic to it, because my whole thing with the group is I feel like the whole point of it is to mirror Seth Rollins version of the bloodline, because I think we're getting Roman and Seth at WrestleMania, and I think
Okay, so not mirror
retracing.
not mirror the Seth Rollins version of the Death Riders. You didn't say that.
Nah. I mean, that's not what I've been seeing. But now that you say that, yeah, I guess you're right. Because I was thinking they were just gonna mirror Roman the whole way, and Roman be like, "Yo, you've been rocking my swag the whole time. You even got my guy." So, but yeah, now that you say that, that does seem like something that Mr. Petty would do, and just be like, "Yo, you know what? Let's add a female. They got a female. Let's add a woman to the group." You know.
So, okay, so now, I mean, everybody, I've seen this from everybody, so this is not surprising anybody, but like immediately we all thought, okay, Seth and Becky versus CM Punk and a possible significant other who hasn't wrestled in feels like 100 years, but hasn't been that long. AJ Lee's name has come up, and she's been bandied about ever since CM Punk came back, really. Like it's been like the countdown, the clock started ticking to when AJ could possibly come back. Now, I worry about it a little bit because the expectation of in-ring 10 years ago was a lot different than the expectation today. AJ, I imagine, is not out of shape. She's still young. And you know, she's got it in her blood. She was a successful professional wrestler, though I wouldn't say the in-ring was the best part of her character. But Keila, do you think that's where we're going? Are we going for Seth and Becky versus AJ and CM Punk? Maybe even at WrestlePalooza, which is the big showdown with AEW. Are we going there?
That seems to be the direction. Seth made it a point to talk about Punk's family during the match. Like, screw your family, your dog, indirectly your wife. I don't care about your family. My family is more important than your family. We saw the very end of the show during the post show when they aired it on Peacock that Punk was staring for a very long time at an AJ Lee and CM Punk poster. He pointed it out, asked for the sign to be raised higher on screen. And then Big E talks about AJ Lee possibly coming back. He's done that before, but I think it's been more blatant now. And I think that it makes sense for them to go in that direction if AJ Lee is ready to come back to WWE. It's been a clamor for the last few years, ever since CM Punk came back to WWE. Teases of Royal Rumble appearances, Evolution appearances. But I think now is the right time to bring back AJ Lee. That pop would be incredible. But as you said, there's always a concern about what can she do in the ring. It's been 10 years, but she's still in phenomenal shape. I mean, looks amazing, but looks is one thing. Can she go is another thing. It's been a while. I think if they do a really nice smoke and mirrors match, you can get by, but it's all about the hype in the moment of it all. And I think that it will work at the end of the day.
So, Scott, like I said, the expectation of wrestling ability has gone up and up and up since last time we saw AJ in the ring. And they have some really good women who you could throw on the Punk side for one reason or another. Punk is, you know, I think he's taken a photo with pretty much every woman wrestler on NXT and in WWE. That guy seems to be in good friendships with lots of the female superstars. Can AJ hold her own enough, do you think, in order to make a match like this work? Or do you turn to one of those like really talented women to make sure that this match is like a main event match that delivers on quality?
Yeah, I think that's where you go. And I think where AJ Lee is going to bring the most value is going to be her mic work, is going to be her intensity when she's standing face to face with Becky Lynch. Let's not forget, like, when she got the most over when she was a wrestler was when she became GM and she started running stuff, and she was able to manipulate CM Punk, Daniel Bryan over the WWE Championship. Even Kane was in the mix. So that's when she was able to get the most over. Then she went and got that title. So I think her being a mouthpiece and then kind of saying, you know, I'm not going to wrestle you, but I have someone who will. You have an automatic elevation. You can easily pick somebody, use over some type of back history with them. But I think that's where you get the most use out of AJ Lee, is more so being a mouthpiece and kind of giving them the numbers advantage instead of Seth Rollins always having the numbers advantage.
Yeah, when I first thought about this, my initial thought was, because of this WrestlePalooza show being the very first ESPN show, because they created this show out of thin air to compete with AEW's All Out, I do wonder if you want the match to be like really, really awesome. And if you do, you could throw a Rhea Ripley in there. However, like has been said, it doesn't make as much storyline sense when you go with the husband and wife versus husband and wife, which makes all the sense in the world. And you get the surprise of AJ Lee coming back. I do hesitate slightly because, like I said, you have a lot of really strong women in WWE who could like make that match, just a barn burner kind of a match. But maybe they can figure it out with AJ. I'm sure if AJ is on the radar, if that's what they want, I'm sure they feel like she can do it. They would not put her in the ring. So I think Lady B has mentioned in the chat, shout out to Lady B, about the mental health issues in the past. Now, there is one big person who is no longer there, who may have been, part of the mental issues. But so maybe that's why, it can happen. AJ Lee can come back and do this one match or even more, like who knows. But there are multiple women who, if AJ doesn't work out, I think you could throw them in that match and it will be an amazing spectacle. And it's Seth and Punk. I am not yet tired of them yet. The hate feels real. The pettiness feels real. CM Punk, when he hit and we'll get to the match in a little bit, but when he hit that GTS and he fell on his knees and Seth just kind of draped over his shoulder and he had the biggest shit-eating grin, maybe in the history of shit-eating grins, as he set him up again. I'm like, okay, like this stuff just works. Like these two guys work together very well, and they can continue feuding no matter how long it's been since they started feuding. So I think it's good stuff, and I think they're going to make it work no matter what. So it's if they can get that thing for WrestlePalooza, I think that'll be super positive for that show. All right, let's hit another headline here from the show. I don't know, man. John Cena as the babyface old man version of John Cena. Now, this match wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. There were some moments there where I was like, I feel you, John. My knees feel exactly the same as yours right now. The Styles Clash was not really the best version of the Styles Clash that I've ever seen in my life. The Code Red, the Code Red was okay. There were some moments where John was feeding Logan with his own stuff because Logan kept mimicking all the John Cena's greatest hits, and I'm like, you're so lucky that you were not the opponent for feeding your best moves because you suck at feeding these moves into Logan Paul. But at the end of the day, this dude did it again. I thought the match was really fun. I thought they got there. I thought Logan Paul was great. Like, no matter what you think about that dude, like inside the ropes, he's so good. Not only at the moves, like that's one part of it because he's so athletic. It's the moments where he turns to the crowd and he pauses and he lets that crowd get after him before he then does the next athletic thing that he does. That is where, to me, where his greatness is, and he's going to keep at that level where he could be really, really good, even better than he is today. But at the end of the day, and John Cena has now said this a couple different times, yeah, man, the heel turn, what had happened was, and, I'm not the only person who said that was a giant mistake. Quality in creatively, in storyline, the way that it all turned out, it did suck. I am very comfortable saying that. Business wise, it didn't hurt because they were hot and it was totally fine. But I give them credit, and I hope John was a part of this, of being like, okay, like this is not working. Let's go back to what we know works. And The Cody match and this match has been the best part of this run so far. I was really happy to see the Logan Paul match and how they delivered. Keila, what were your thoughts on this one?
This is probably Logan Paul's second best singles match in WWE outside of the Roman match from Crown Jewel a couple of years ago. John Cena made that man work. Like, tonight, you're going to tell a story. It's not going to just be about the moves and spamming finishers. You're going to go out there and work tonight. And he did. And Cena, listen, was it perfect? No. Some spots were ugly, but John Cena is the best, ugliest wrestler there is in WWE. He makes things feel special and big. I'm laughing at Super Cena getting over in the twilight years of his career, that we were condoning Super Cena. I'm here for that. And it was a great story. I thought the match was really good. And I just sit there and wonder to myself, we really sat there for months with this John Cena heel turn that did not work. In the moment it happened, it was great. The after effects of it have sucked. And all I can think about, and I'm about to go pop culture on you guys, is just thinking about Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Uh-oh.
And we had the whole Data and Lore storyline, and Lore sucked. He was awful. And Brett tried to do this acting thing that was awful with Lore. Just give me regular old Data. And now I got regular old man John Cena out there working, and I appreciate that. It's like Knight Rider, Kit versus Carr. Carr sucked. He did. So give me Kit. Give me old man John Cena. Don't give me this overbaked heel BS, because we wasted time for months, unfortunately. And now we're down to single dates, and we have to kind of scramble together opponents for John Cena. Old man John Cena, that can still go now. So we now know the guy still has a bag and can still go at a very high level in the ring.
This man, when he came out on the stage, he did a walk that I have to do sometimes, which is you have to be able to kind of walk on your toes a little bit, because every once in a while there's very little bend in your knees. And that's how this dude came out of the curtain, like walking on the stage with like no bend in the knees. And I was like, oh, we're in for a long night. But you know what? He pulled it out, and he did such a great job. Scott, when it comes to the end of this John Cena run, and I don't remember what the number of dates he has left. He brings it up every now and again, but we are Monday will be September 1st. We got September, October, November, December. We know the end date is Saturday night's main event in mid-December. What else do you want to see from this dude before it's all said and done?
Well, especially after tonight and the fan reaction, I definitely need to see Dirty Dom. That's got to happen. But for me, I think and I think Keila will agree with me on this, the biggest match possible that John Cena could have, that I need to see, probably should be his retirement match, probably should be the guy to retire him, is the great Tonga Loa. So, and the ending shot should be him standing on top of a ladder, the tippy top, both feet, arms out, and just doing this. Actually, not arms out, doing this, saying you can't see me. The great Tonga Loa is definitely on the top of the list. Dirty Dom, and again, Tonga Loa.
I thought you were gonna say you wanted to see John Cena with his back turned, and Tonga Loa is supposed to go for the nut shot, and we get the taint shot instead, like last year. What was that? Tonga Loa who did that in the War Games? But this is a valid question. Like, legitimately, Keila, who do you want to see in that Saturday night's main event match with John Cena to end the whole thing?
Man, it doesn't sound like we're going to get AJ Styles, which makes me very, very sad. Because
he did the Styles clash in the match, so maybe we do get one.
He did. Then on the post show, he says, I'm doing this for people who I will probably not face.
Okay.
And he did mention AJ Styles. So I don't think it's happening. The rumor was last opponent would be Gunther. That is a possibility if you're going to do it in Boston for Saturday night's main event. I would love to see AJ, but I think the final opponent will most likely be Gunther, if I had to guess.
Okay, wait. Okay, so if he's doing stuff for guys he is not going to be able to face, is he going to do the the Daniel Bryan kicks or something. Like he's got to shout out Daniel Bryan. He's got to do something for Daniel. That might be the only thing he can do out of Daniel Bryan's moveset.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else he could do.
He can do something for Edge potentially as well.
Do a spear.
Yeah, do a spear.
I think he'll cope without doing a move for Edge.
I like that. He'll cope without doing a move for Cope. There you go.
I've said that I just assumed it was going to be Seth because he's kind of the biggest heel right now. Like, but I would like it to be Braun because you want to put a younger guy over, which would be nice. I don't know if it's going to be Braun. It very well could be Gunther, like you said. Like for like other than Tongaloa, Scott, who do you want to see in that Saturday Night's Main Event match?
Genuinely, I think Dirty Dom would be a great opponent. Him as the IC champion and John Cena going after the one last thing he's never captured, that being his final match. I mean, I don't want to see Brock. I don't want to see that as his final match because
we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it anyways next month.
So that's not gonna happen. Braun's a good pick, but I just think that Dirty Dom, I think he could get something out of that and being in that match, and I think the crowd will react accordingly with him at a main event level.
I mean, we'll talk about Roman here in a second. That is something they haven't done yet. I don't know if they want to do that again. Roman may still have some real beef from that other time that they feuded. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, he did the Orton, he did the Punk. Those were the ones that they had to get through. I'm sure he would like to work with somebody younger, somebody who he hasn't worked. I'm sure he's wrestled. He wrestled Ray several times, so working with Dom would probably be pretty cool. But yeah, it'll be kind of a fun thing to see who they finally pair him up with on that Saturday Night's Main Event show to end the thing. Yeah, but just imagine if they never did that stupid heel turn. We could have been having all of this since February. This could have been the whole story. It'd have been so much fun. Okay. Let's one more headline and then we'll get to the matches here. So on the Fight Game podcast with myself and John LaRocca, I did a little bit of fantasy booking and I said it would be kind of cool if Bronson Reed didn't lose this match and instead, or maybe wouldn't lose a match by pin. What I was kind of interested in seeing is Bronson get frustrated. He couldn't put away Roman. And eventually he did something to get himself disqualified, whether it was Braun or coming in or not. And then during that disqualification piece, then he hits like 5 tsunamis on Roman, and then they wheel Roman out, and he's got to be taken back on the stretcher. Now, they did all of that stretcher stuff, but Roman still got the pin with the spear in the match, which I thought was a fun match. Now, I know there's going to be a certain subset of the wrestling fan base who just thinks that, because they didn't bing bong all over the ring for 15 minutes and it was a little slow in building, that wasn't their style. I actually liked it because I like it when we treat big men like big men, and you could feel that. Like, there was a moment where Roman had this dude up on his shoulders and he went face down, and I was like, y'all should have practiced that one, because I'm pretty sure Bronson's leg just landed right on the back of dude's head. Like, that one looked rough. But I did like just the pacing and the style, like the baby face. I mean, this was essentially Roman Reigns' version of a Hulk Hogan match from like the late 80s. Like, that was the style that the greatest WWE champion of all time wrestled, and it got over. And I thought it got over really well here. It's more athletic. Roman is more athletic. He does more stuff, but I thought it was solid stuff. But Keila, what did you think of the angle, which is they kind of got Roman out of there? They also gave Jey an excuse to not be at full strength because he did get speared by Braun Breaker. Braun speared Roman on the outside on one of the announcers' tables. I thought Braun Breaker hurt himself because the way that he winced on that, I think he may have over-rotated on that spear because he's a wild boy, man. That dude just going 100 miles an hour. But then I was like, oh no, this dude's hurt. And then like 2 minutes later, he does a full sprint into a spear on the outside. And I was like, okay, this dude must not be hurt, because who can do that except for him? But what did you think of the way that the angle kind of built? Roman going out on the stretcher, Roman getting tsunami'd on the stretcher as well. And then also, where do you think we're going? Like, how long's Roman going to be out? What are we leading to?
All right. So Angle was great. I looked at my clock. I said they really ate up the first 15 minutes of this show with this angle. Incredible. I just ate up an hour of the show with Roman getting beat up. But I thought that it was a great way to get him out of there for now. He's got Street Fighter to film for right now. And then we have this show in Perth, Crown Jewel, in October. You can bring him back for that. Bronson Reed is from Australia. You can have a match there. And you can also build up Survivor Series in San Diego, War Games. How are you going to construct that match? I was reading possibilities. Maybe you want to do 3-on-3 this year versus 5-on-5. It's a possibility there. I think it was a great way to get heat for the faction. And you can see the long game angle here is going to be Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker. I too was scared with the first spear through the announce table that Braun hurt himself. The replay was like a beautiful spear, but the landing was awful for Braun, but he got right back up. He sprinted at a high rate of speed, laid out Roman Reigns. The man is not human. I would give him that. And I also wanted to pray for Roman Reigns' ears because Braun Breaker yelled in that man's eardrum really, really, really loud. I was like, dude, let's go down a few decibels. Let's not hurt the man's ears.
Scott, what were your thoughts on the whole shebang?
I thought the match was really well done. The crowd was incredible. And you know, I watched it with my kids, and one thing that they made sure that I had to do was every time Roman threw his finger up, my finger made sure it had to stay up there until Roman's finger came down. So that was a must. And then the other thing,
what about when Bronson Reed threw his finger up right at the beginning of the show?
Oh my goodness, when Bronson Reed threw the finger up, they started saying, "What is he doing, Dad? He can't do that. That's not him. We don't do that for him." They ate the whole thing up. And the ending, when Roman finally speared him, they were like, "Well, why didn't he just do that at the beginning? If he'd just speared him at the beginning, he could have won earlier. Why did he do all that?" Yeah, and then the beatdown was great. I thought they did a great job of protecting the tsunami. They've done a great job of protecting that and making that arguably the most devastating move in WWE right now. So the second row Samoan drop was really impressive. I don't think you could ask for much more. It wasn't the match of the night, but I definitely think it was in contention for most of the night.
I think Roman took his vitamins before this show too, because that dude was like chiseled. I was like, my goodness. He also had a lot of I don't know what they're using these days, if it's baby oil or coconut oil or whatever. He had about a layer and a half of that on there. But the man, he looks awesome. Like this dude, as this dude gets older, like he looks a lot more like a movie star, I guess, like where he's kind of leaning to. By the way, did anybody see The Pickup on Amazon Prime with Roman Reigns in that movie? Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, Keke Palmer. Nobody saw it. Only me.
Yes.
Roman Reigns played a UFC champion in that movie.
How'd that go?
I think his finisher is the Superman punch, if I were to guess.
Wow.
Is he jumping off the cage to do it?
He should, yeah. He had one real scene in the movie. They were in a bank vault, or they're in a vault of some sort where there was stacks of money, and he was doing some photos, and he was like in his like Roman Reigns gear, but he was just an MMA fighter instead of a pro wrestler. So that was his whole scene there. Roman Reigns, man, he's on his way. Okay, so let's actually go through some of the stuff on this show. So we don't have to really talk too much more about the Reigns and Bronson Reed match, though I will say when it comes to how they portray this on television, I imagine, as is the WWE way, we will get a giant video package on Raw tomorrow. And by the way, it's like at 11 a.m. again. So if you are home and you are not hanging out with the fam, they are delivering you an 11 a.m., at least Pacific for me, Monday afternoon Raw for on Netflix. But I imagine we're going to get the whole thing, this long package and the brutality. I'm surprised they didn't have him, spitting up blood. But it is the difference between how, a real life injury by Will Ospreay, which is going to, leave him out. Now, he didn't get hurt in the ring on Forbidden Door, but like this dude's probably getting neck surgery. And I imagine WWE is going to treat this fake injury by Roman Reigns like as a bigger deal than Will Ospreay's real injury on AEW television. I hope AEW proves me wrong, but I'm going to guess that WWE will overdo that like they should because it was their big angle. But yeah, so I'm interested to see how they play that up because, again, if we are waiting for him to come back until November, possibly, that is a long time for this dude to be out. And it takes him off of the September pay-per-view, which is kind of like an all hands on deck show to me. So that is also very interesting because I think they're gonna put a show on ESPN for their first ESPN show that is, on the level of a SummerSlam. I think now may not be the same kind of card. It's not gonna be 2 nights, but I think the level of hype, you have this ESPN channel just waiting for you to just market your stuff. I think we're going to see some equal to a SummerSlam sort of hype for this show. So it's kind of surprising to me that they did the injury angle here because that means he's probably not on WrestlePalooza. So we'll see how that works. Okay. The next match. Now, this is what I call could happen on SmackDown. The Wyatt Sicks and the Street Profits. I love the Street Profits. I feel like WWE does not know what to do with these dudes. They're so good, especially my man, who I always say looks like a buffed out version of Damon Wayans Jr. Like they're so unique, they're so good, and yet they're always saddled in these feuds that I'm just not interested in. And now it's the Wyatt Sicks. I in our Discord I wrote that. WWE's trying to be slick by putting the Wyatt Sicks on pay-per-view or PLE, and that's the only way that I just won't fast forward through all their matches. Like I'm not into this group whatsoever. Now that they're tag champs, we had this long convoluted match where, at first Street Profits can't get along. There was a great moment that Wade Barrett completely missed. They did it because they're kind of like not on the same page, and so they do this double team move and Dawkins does the move, and they're out of sync, and Wade Barrett goes, "Oh, they're finally back on the same page." I was like, dude, you just did not see these guys not on the same page? What are you talking about? But anyways, of course, screw finish. Uncle Howdy comes in, Sister Abigail on the outside, and they win the match. But I don't know. I'm not into the Wyatt Sicks. This is almost like Triple H's version of like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to get these guys over no matter what. And I'm just like, it just makes me not want to see them more. But Keila, your thoughts on this tag team title match?
Wow, this could have been on SmackDown on Friday night. Could have been on SmackDown in Chicago this Friday night. Should have been on a SmackDown any Friday night in America in September. It just felt out of place when then I saw the Street Profits come out. Oh, this is a promotional sponsorship match. Now I get it. It makes sense to me. Match was fine. It's very weird looking at the Wyatt Sicks because they cheat to win all of their matches. And I don't know if they're supposed to be heels or baby faces because of it. It's very confusing to me. And then for the first time ever, we have this tease tension between Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Now you want to do a tease breakup after all these years? And my biggest concern has been, we've been waiting for the Montez Ford singles push for years now. And my greatest concern is we wait until the man's 45 years old to give him a WWE championship. You need to do it in his prime. His prime was a couple of years ago. It's not too late, but they are squandering precious years of his career where he can still go at a very high level. He can still fly. Use him at his peak. Do not wait until 2030 to push him when he's 42 years old. No, push him now while he still can go at a very high level. Do not waste this man's time and just wait and wait and wait and waste his time and his talent and his athleticism.
I hate it when people make comparisons and it leans towards like the same nationality. Shelton Benjamin, I'm doing it here. Like Shelton Benjamin, when they finally let him go singles, like Scott himself has told me that was when he locked in on wrestling. He was like, wow, this is really cool. Shelton Benjamin, he's going for, these championships, and he's in the main event. I'm not saying Montez needs to be in the main event on these shows quite yet, but it's very clear if you've been watching this show for years and years and years, as good of a partner as Angelo Dawkins is, there is something with Montez Ford, and it almost feels like they are playing keep away with that and with the fan base. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do with the tag team division, because you have two sets of belts. They're both kind of in the mid card. The Judgment Day is on Raw a lot, so there's an elevation when those guys are involved. On the SmackDown side, it just feels so mid card. Like, those belts don't feel important in the very least. The only time the division feels important is when two single stars decide to tag team. When Cody and Jey did it, then it's like, oh yeah, the tag team division. We can put these guys in the main event. Otherwise, this tag team division is such a mid-card title and mid-card division. Not sure what we're getting here with Street Profits. They may have missed the boat with Montez. I don't know. It's just hard for me to watch these guys and go, yep, they know exactly what they're doing with this team. I feel like they don't get them. They don't understand that they don't understand the possible relationship that they could have with the fan base if you just get behind them a little bit more. Scott, what do you think about the Montez and Shelton comparison?
It's interesting. The irony of that is the match that Shelton had that main event against was against the guy who can't even see color. So I don't even know how he saw the match, because it was against Triple H. So that's that. And Triple H, this is also an agenda that he's got going on, because Triple H was like, listen, y'all want more black people on the show? I got you. But they taking this L to the Wyatts. And guess who took it? Montez. This man is not slick. I see what he's doing. I see the agenda. I see the games. Okay. And I'm over it. I'm tired of it. All right. You put Kiana James on because you didn't even know that she was a sister. So let's not, we know what's going on here, Triple H. We got it. Okay. We understand. But I think it is good. And I think that's what you have to actually. I think you just have to throw Montez into the pit, let him go in the fire, split him up, do your draft, or keep doing your free agency or whatever you want to do. Dawkins will be fine. I want to make sure I'm one of the first. Dawkins will be fine. He is good. He will be able to go. When he had that little mini singles run where they were like, Montez, you're being too good, we're going to put you on the sideline, he was pretty solid. Let Montez go. Let him do his thing. And Dawkins will be just fine.
You think anybody's told him about Sol Ruka yet?
Not a clue. That's why she's double champion. Not because she has double races, but because he has no idea. So he's like, yeah, she could have two belts. Why not? He has no idea.
Lady B and I were very much on the same page with that joke.
Don't let him know. Do not alert him. Do not tell him, because if he finds out, he'll strip her of everything and regulate her to evolve. Do not let him know.
He was confused by the Black History poster when Sol and Keanu, he's like, guys, we got a mix up here. We got a couple people who I don't understand. They're the only two I see on this poster. I don't think they should be here. They're in wrong spots.
This is why you guys have to listen to the rap every Wednesday morning on the Fight Game Media audio network. All right, maybe I can't say I was disappointed in the next match, because I didn't really expect this match to be all that good. I didn't like the build. I don't like the build when we play Mean Girls and we make fun of old boyfriends and all that. I think it's just so beneath where we should be right now with storylines. So Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, it was a rough beginning for Nikki Bella and maybe even a rough middle. I think they did kind of get where they needed to go with the match, and they ended it nicely. But that crowd, I don't know if it was because of the previous match. They reacted to Becky a little bit as a heel. That crowd did not give one single care that Nikki Bella was the other person in the ring. I don't know if it's because that the Nikki Bella era was, a long time ago, and that's not the type of character that those fans wanted to see. Is she too old school, or was it because the match wasn't as good as it could have been? But yeah, I was like, okay, this is kind of what I was expecting. It wasn't hot. The crowd didn't care. Poor Nikki. Rack Attack 2.0 was just not working tonight. She had it about 4 different times and couldn't finish it off. And then Becky won with some sort of a backslide or something, or some cradle or whatever to win the match. But I don't think not Nikki Bella's finest night. Keila, what'd you think about this one?
Yeah, this match was rough. And I will go to the moment that Nikki Bella came out for the match. I look at facial expressions. I look at body language. I don't know what it was. It just felt like it was not going to be a nice night at the office for Nikki. I don't know if the headspace wasn't completely there. But yeah, maybe it was a lack of a reaction when she came out, but the fans were more pro Becky than Nikki Bella. The match was very rough in spots. The last 5 minutes was pretty good. But as you said, are we going to a bygone era? The fans don't really appreciate Nikki from that time period. She was solid 10 years ago. She has been out. She is rusty. This is probably her 3rd match back in WWE since her return at the Royal Rumble earlier this year. So I just don't get the sense that she's long for being a babyface in WWE. And I think a lot of people are clamoring for Brie to get re-signed. You get the Bella twins back together, preferably as heels, because when Liv Morgan comes back next year, she's going to be a babyface. And we know they had that feud lined up for Evolution until Liv got hurt. So when she comes back, you have to realign things anyway and get Nikki back over as a heel, which I think she's better suited at this point. Kind of lean into that. And as you said before, I'm kind of tired of the John Cena jokes. They've been broken up for 7 years now. Let it go. It's time to find some new material that doesn't seem that underbaked and outdated.
The woman has a child with her ex-husband, and that child, I'm sure, would love to watch his mom on television, and yet the entire build to this match is about an old boyfriend. It's kind of embarrassing that they would continue to lean into that kind of storytelling this day and age, post, the end of the Divas era and the beginning of the the women's championship or the women's superstar era. I don't think it's great to go backwards like that. So yeah, I agree with you. So Scott, I'm going to guess that you probably had the same thoughts as Keila and me. Do you believe the story that the reason why Brie Bella is not in WWE is because Daniel Bryan is on the AEW side? Like, is that I mean, in the competition of pettiness, it does make sense, but it seems like so petty and so ridiculous that WWE would hold out something that could be beneficial to their bottom line because someone is married to someone in the competition.
I 100% think that's the reason. And you know what? It could be from both sides. Bryan Danielson could be like, listen, I'm about to take over this company over here. So don't be going back over there messing anything up for me. Okay. I'm slipping my way right onto the top. I'm trying to take this bad boy over. So don't mess that up for me. And then WWE's like, yeah, Nikki can come back, but your sister, Garcia, is that Garcia? Garcia can't come back. We can't have her back. But as far as the match goes, I will say this. We talked about it earlier with the AJ Lee thing. I just think this shows the difference in the eras.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows the difference. Because I thought the match was okay. Like, on Raw, this would have been just fine. But I think that you could just see the intensity Becky had, and Nikki tried to match it with the strikes, but the speed Becky was moving at, you can see the difference. And that's why I said that I think AJ Lee will be best coming back as a manager.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely see that point of view. By the way, I don't know if you all watch Forbidden Door. Keila, did you watch Forbidden Door?
I saw bits and pieces of it last weekend.
So Brian Danielson was on commentary for that show. And Jim Ross, I think Jim Ross did commentary for a couple matches. And Jim Ross at some point goes something like, isn't that right, Dan? And it took Brian Danielson like a 2 Mississippi to realize that Jim Ross was talking to him as if he was really Daniel Bryan instead of Brian Danielson. I was like, come on, Jim. You got one job, Jim, and it's to be a professional announcer. You can't call the man by his worked WWE name while you both are in AEW. Man.
At least he remembered a name, though. Let's give him that. Okay. He remembered one of them. Let's just give him that.
Okay, let's get to the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Now, this match was really fun. If I have a complaint, it is not a complaint about this match necessarily. It is a complaint that why does every wrestling show now have to have a version of a no disqualification match? We had, because of the main event being a 4-way, that was essentially a no disqualification match as well. And I think it was one or two WWE shows ago, there was I think it was like one of the nights of SummerSlam where you had every single match had some sort of stipulation, like except for one. And I'm like, the problem with this is if we did one good old fashioned Donnybrook match once a year and maybe every 2 or 3 pay-per-views we did an ODQ match, great. I watched Sheamus and Rusev beat the hell out of each other in a match that you knew was not going to end until someone hit the other guy with the right gimmick, and it had to be this crazy thing. Like this, so you're just waiting for the chaos, and you know that the match is not going to end until the chaos is over. I thought the match was really fun. I love old man Sheamus. This is my favorite version of Sheamus. I went to, I think it was WrestleMania 26, where he had that match with Triple H, where he was kind of on the ascent as like the guy. And so I've been rocking with Sheamus like for a while now, and this is my favorite version of him. So I just loved him in this match, and it was really fun. These no DQ matches, man, though, there's just so many of them that it just takes away from the specialness of what these guys actually did, because we see this every show, every television show, every pay-per-view, every PLE. There's a match like this. I will commend them, though. They did a really good job. Rusev took the win. Sheamus took the L. Keila, what did you think about this?
Second best match on the show. I love old man Sheamus, too. I love him. He goes out there. He understands the assignment. I'm going to go out there and brutalize my body for the love of the game. And he did it again. Yes, I know the no DQ matches are quite repetitive in WWE, quite tiresome, but it worked here. Rusev, you know, I'm mixed on his WWE return, but what you can't deny is a man can go out there and have big hoss matches. He did so against Sheamus here. The spot with the whiskey barrels, kudos to the WWE production team for gluing the barrels together, because I thought they were going to tumble and fall apart. They were tied up real nice to go through the Slim Jim tables at ringside. And then I was very surprised that Sheamus would lose his namesake match, the old Donnybrook. He tapped out. I was very surprised by the finish. It was a way to get Rusev over. And if you're trying to get him over, that's how you do it. Kudos to both guys for going out there, putting on a hell of a match. I was highly entertained. And Sheamus, as I said before, my end goal for him is to win that one title that has eluded him, the IC title. And then after that, he can retire as a G.
So Paul says that when Rusev put on the accolade, Wade Barrett snuck in. When he puts on that move, it really is game over, which was his AEW name for that move, and he popped. Yeah, Wade made up for his previous lack of paying attention in this match. I think he had a lot of fun because he really likes both of those guys. All right, Scott, what were your thoughts here?
Real strong match. The beer barrels, that was a nice spot. Just surprised there was no beer advertisement. I mean, you got Slim Jims, but I ain't got no beer advertisement. Come on now. This was much better than I thought it would be. And they gave them 20 minutes. I'm assuming that they must owe Peacock some minutes since they're cutting their, the services short. So they was like, yo, we need a few more matches to go 20 plus. Cause I've never seen Triple H let this many matches go 20 plus.
That's the gimmick for the streaming thing, though. It's like the longer you keep the people viewed, which is why they have that long pregame show and why they have the postgame shows. Because the longer you keep people on their couches, the better it is, the better metrics for the service, for the Peacock service. So you're 100% right about that. Yeah, it was something. Okay, so then we've already talked about the John Cena and the Logan Paul match, which John did a great job in that match. And then the main event was Seth Rollins beating CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight in a fatal 4-way for the World Heavyweight Championship. The problem with this match, I think there's two problems going in. Seth Rollins, nobody thought he was losing. That is a problem with a lot of wrestling PLEs, which it wasn't a problem as much back in the day when you had the Big Five, because you're like, oh, this is special. This SummerSlam, like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen main event matches in a long time. Now we have a Saturday night's main event or a PLE or whatever more often, than we don't. And thus nobody really believes it's time for Seth Rollins to lose his championship. So they were working with that handicap. Second handicap, and this is from a storytelling perspective. You had three, and I'll use Hangman Page and Roman Reigns verbiage here. You had three dumbass baby faces who could not figure out how to take out the heel so that one of them could take the title from the heel. And that's the story of the match when you have the optics as the optics. So that being said, one thing that WWE does really well, they know how to shoot a multi-man match. They know how to not show the guys on the floor who are just chilling, waiting for their turn to get back in. They don't do the Luchasaurus thing where you peek over the apron to see if it's your turn yet, and the camera catches you, and you're like, dude, you're supposed to be playing dead. You're not supposed to be peeking over the apron. They don't do that. And they know how to kind of choreograph this in a way where you get the near falls and you get the, oh my gosh moments, and you get the, oh, Punk's going to do it. Nope. Then we got Becky. And so I thought that part was very well done. I thought getting to the finish was very well done. I thought giving Jey Uso the ribs injury, though, for being fair, he only took one spear. It's not like he took like a few tsunamis. Like, I thought that would have been better if he also took a tsunami and then tried to wrestle. That would have been a better vision of what they were trying to accomplish. And everyone here knows, Keila and Scott know, I'm not the biggest fan of LA Knight. LA Knight did a good job in this match. He plays the kind of quasi baby face who is not too goody two shoes to punch another baby face in the face when he needs to. He does that role very well. So I thought he played his role in the match as well. It wasn't a 5-star match to me, but it was a really strong main event. And then you had that moment that we talk about, which is why these people keep coming back to watch these shows. You got the Becky moment. You elevated Becky at the end. You elevated the Vision team. You got Seth's plan B when his homies were kicked out of the match. And thus, everyone's looking forward to what happens on Monday Night Raw. Keila, as a match, what was your thoughts?
It was aight. It was an aight main event. I wasn't moved by it necessarily. It was a basic fatal 4-way match. I was taken aback by some things that quite disturbed me. And it comes down to Jey Uso's ring gear. What the hell was that?
Somebody asked in the Discord, they were like, is there a storyline for Jey Uso's casual wrestling gear? And I was like, nah, it's just basketball shorts. Like, I don't know.
But these were extra egregious. It was basic bitch gear. I was like, what is this? I was appalled. And then I look at LA Knight, and we know we have jokes about LA, but what I will say is LA is a hooper in these PLEs. He always shows up. He always balls out. I respect him for that. CM Punk was CM Punk. Seth was Seth. But Jey Uso's fit was an embarrassment. This was giving like 2010 Usos on a budget before the money came in. What was this? I was appalled by his shorts.
By the way, LA Knight. So you had Jordan Brand flavor on this show because Roman Reigns wears I think he wears a Jordan Brand style boot, wrestling boot with his Superman punch logo on it. But they were supposed to look like the very famous 11 bred patent leathers. So they were stylized after that. And then LA Knight's boots were supposed to look like, or they were styled after the Taxi 12 Jordan. So the black and white. And so I see that. I know LA Knight's a Jordan head too. So I'm sure that's exactly what it was. But yeah, what may have happened, Jey Uso was just hooping before the show, and he was like, I forgot my ring gear. Like, here's my baggy shorts, and I got to put this gauze tape around my abdomen, and I got to keep like pulling it up because it keeps falling down. So yeah, I don't know what his deal was, but he was like wearing his hoop gear. Scott, you are someone who has worn maybe even those same shorts playing hoop before. Did you have the same problems as Keila?
I thought the shorts were awful, but while everybody's eating, nobody really cares what your shorts look like. But I will say this: Bronson Reed said, "Well, you got your shoes back. Well, I'm gonna take your boys' pants. So how about that? All right? Because first of all, what took him so long to come out to help anyway? While we're on the topic of Jey Uso. What took him so long to come out? And then you, like you said, you come out and take one spear? Nah, bro. You deserve to have your stuff jacked. As far as the match goes, yeah, Triple H decided to try to do the old Survivor Series shock moment of Shawn Michaels super kicking him when it was him, Shawn Michaels, and John Cena. That didn't work. So then everybody just started kicking in. It was okay. It was fine. A solid fatal four-way. They're not that great. There's only been like 3 or 4 actually really good fatal four-ways. But yeah, it's all about Jey Uso getting jacked. And yeah, Bronson Reed's going to show up with his shorts. Like, dude, I got your shorts, bro. This is what happens when you mess with us.
When you were talking about the Rusev and Sheamus thing about the barrels and why they didn't have like a beer sponsor, like, what sponsor they would have had, because they were actually whiskey barrels, I think, if Conor McGregor was still involved in Proper 12, that could have been like the Proper 12 whiskey barrel. I have a story when I was, during like the pandemic, I was doing some MMA UFC talk shows with John Moxley, and he said one time he went to an airport bar and they had Proper 12 at the thing, and he's like, and John Moxley was like, yeah, like, does anybody order that? And the guy was like, yep, once. Proper 12 is not that go back.
Is it that bad?
I've had a couple of bottles of Proper 12. Yeah, it's the Jey Uso shorts of whiskey. It's not great.
Oh wow! Ouch! 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 But shout out! We forgot to shout out 2 people in the crowd. Gigi's favorite performer on earth today, Jelly Roll and Post Malone, living their best lives in the crowd.
I wanted to see Jelly Roll actually take a couple of those tsunamis. That's what I wanted on this show.
Wow. That man got to perform on Wednesday. Come on now.
When my kids saw Post Malone, they're like, "Oh my God, Dad, are they gonna tag team? Is that what's coming next? Is Post and Jelly gonna tag team?" I was like, "Let's hope not, son. Let's hope not."
Yeah, I just find look, I'm very happy that Jelly Roll got to experience being a WWE superstar for a night. I'm sure that was kind of like a dream of his, and it's very cool. He doesn't want to show up the business. He doesn't want to big time the business. He doesn't want to be too big for wrestling. But for my man to say, I told them I wanted to lose. Like, come on, dude. Like, get this is not how this thing works.
For the love of the game, he did it, Gigi. For the love of the game of wrestling, he said, let me take the L. Let me be the bigger man. Let me take the L for the team, because my job is to elevate stars like Drew McIntyre and noted professional wrestler Logan Paul.
There we go.
You know when you do that spot where the guy gets kind of carried out of the ring, and then he realizes he's got to come back for his team and he's got to do it. And so he makes the comeback and then he just gets killed again. Like, you know, that's the only time that story's ever happened that way. And that was with Jelly Roll. He didn't even do the Hulkamania comeback or nothing. And let's say that happened the way that he said it. Let's say Triple H was going over creative and Jelly Roll's like, before you say anything, I just want you to know, I want to lose. Triple H probably turned to PSAs and was like, the guy wants to lose. What are we going to do? What are we like? That dude was losing the second he signed up for that match. Right? This is not something where he's like being, too big for it. That stuff annoys me. But anyways, I think it's probably more so annoys me because I don't listen to the man's music. That's probably why. Okay. So Lady B sent us in a super chat. Thank you, Lady B. She wants to know, what is the dream card for WrestlePalooza? So now we know we got Brock and Cena. I'm guessing Drew and Cody. It looks like that's where they're leaning based off of that big angle that they did. Though I don't know how, Cody can get beat up so bad and still record What Do You Want to Talk About podcast so easily. What else? What else do you guys want to see for that show?
Oh man, I think if you're really trying to be the counter, I think you got to go CM Punk and Seth Rollins and AJ Lee's in the corner, Becky Lynch in the corner, and you just have them in the graphic. That's all you need to sell that match. And then, does Tiffany move anybody right now? Jade does. Jade is definitely somebody I think you put on that card. Jade Cargill. It's just Tiffany doesn't really move me at all. So, but I think Jade gets on the card. I think you put Braun Breaker on the card. You find a way to get him on there. Maybe he takes on LA Knight or something, and you have a big Roman Reigns return on that card for one night. All you gotta do is fly him in for a couple hours, and he can fly right back out.
Okay, so he flies back in to set up September? What's October? What's the October show?
Crown Jewel, Perth, Australia.
Okay, that's in Perth. By the way, Paul Fontaine had an idea of Sami Zayn beating Braun in Perth and then him getting taken out in Perth. So basically he would only be out for 3 weeks. And he got stretched out for 3 whole weeks. Jelly Roll would be out for at least a half a year.
Hey, listen. Well, we saw Jey Uso, so we saw that man all taped up afterwards. So you might be right. Maybe Roman's ribs not as strong too. So that's a good point.
I was trying to think of, which is why the CM Punk and AJ Lee match makes a lot of sense, because it is something that we haven't seen. It's not something that they've overdone. So that would be a good addition, whether it is with AJ wrestling or not. Just the fact that she's involved, I think, is a pretty big deal. But I'm thinking it's all hands on deck. So whatever you have set up for Survivor Series or the Crown Jewel show, there should be things happening on this WrestlePalooza, because you do want, as the kickoff to the ESPN thing, what you also want to achieve is you want to tell people, okay, this show, now you're going to want to see stuff that happens on Crown Jewel and Survivor Series based on what you just watched? Because I'm going to guess they're going to get more people to watch, at least out of curiosity, WrestlePalooza than they will normally, or than they would if it was just on Peacock, because people want to see what this relationship with ESPN is about. People want to try out their ESPN app. Has anyone tried to use their ESPN app yet? Do you guys have it because of your cable system or whatever? No?
Xfinity and ESPN have not brokered a deal yet. They have exactly 15 business days to get it done before I have to shell out 30.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I have it. I have Hulu Live, so I have it. The app is slick. There's so much stuff going on it. I can imagine that they will be able to keep, if you're on like a Saturday, if you're a college football fan, you're just probably in that app pretty much all day long. And I am interested to see how they how they advertise WWE through the app, how they advertise WWE on all of these goofy morning shows. Lady B also said they could bring back some of the big guns with Rock, Stone Cold. I won't say the third person who she meant, because I think we see that person too much, Undertaker. But yeah, Rock, Stone Cold, you could bring back Mick Foley. We haven't seen Mick Foley in a while. They're probably not bringing back Bret Hart because they couldn't even find the man a seat at SummerSlam. So they're probably not going to bring him back. But yeah, it would be nice, because the great thing about that idea is, again, more people are going to give this show a chance to go, oh, I haven't watched this in a while. And then if you see your old fave, Stone Cold, walking down, I don't think they'll get Stone Cold, but I think it's a great idea. Then you might be like, oh, like Stone Cold, I haven't seen this dude in forever. What's he up to? And then you kind of you're kind of interested in watching, what's going on. So I think it's an awesome idea. But yeah, I like the app. I think the app's really slick. Now, the whole thing is, how many people will subscribe like Keila at the last minute because their cable company doesn't have a deal with ESPN, and how many people are actually physically subscribing to the network to see the WWE content? Because Peacock is in about 41 million homes. If you get half of the people who, let's say that ESPN is in 60 million homes, let's say half of those people have this deal at this point, that's only 30 million. So you won't even more than likely get to as many homes as in Peacock. But because it's on ESPN, I think the interest elevates and it becomes higher, and their ability to market the show and kind of take over the zeitgeist of pro wrestling for that day will be higher. But we'll see. I do expect whatever the little, whatever the things that they've been saving, we might see it here. And I've been saying this for AEW too. Like, I really want to see what Tony Khan does. I think they're doing some stuff with the television that week that gives them a little bit more promotion. So I love it when both companies go for it, man. Like, this is what the competition is about. Would I prefer them to like not mess with each other because then we got to stay up all night and watch this stuff? Yeah, I would. But if they're going to do it, I want to see their best foot forward. And I think we're going to get it. I think that's going to be a really fun day, but also a day that I don't ever want to go through again, just thinking about it. But this is the ecosystem, the wrestling ecosystem that we live in today, is this competition. Okay, so let's end with I have two questions for you guys. What was the best match? What was the worst match, Keila?
Best match of the night, I will give the honor to John Cena versus Logan Paul. Worst match goes to Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch for the IC title. Pains me to say it, but it is true.
All right, Scott.
My best match, we're going with Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. Really enjoyed that match a lot. And I have to agree. Unfortunately, the only women's match on the card was the worst.
I will not choose the women's match because I actually like both of those women. I do not like the Wyatt Sicks, so I will choose that SmackDown match. I don't want to shade the Street Profits. That's part of part of my frustration with that match is like, I really like those guys, but I just don't like the Wyatts more than I like those guys, I guess. And best match, I kind of agree with Scott. Like that was my favorite match. Was it the best match? I think if I'm thinking of ratings and I'm thinking of cage match and I'm thinking of star ratings, I think the John Cena match will get rated higher. I think the Seth Rollins match might get rated higher as well. So I'll probably lean John Cena, but my favorite match was I think was the Roman Reigns match. All right. I think that's going to be it. So we will have the wrap back on the audio network on Wednesday morning. I'm sure y'all will have your thoughts on this show on the wrap, and then you'll talk about Raw and NXT. By the way, what is going on with NXT? I haven't watched in so long. Do I need to watch? Is it getting better?
No, you don't need to watch NXT. I've been preempted a lot due to the Atlanta Dream. Go Dream, by the way. Can't watch NXT some weeks, but you're missing absolutely nothing for the most part. It's just a show on Tuesday night, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what I was
You're just missing all your black wrestlers. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm missing Jada Parker. I'm missing Lola Vice. Those are people who I want to watch. I'm missing Ricky Starks. I'm missing Sol Ruka. I'm missing Mariah May, though. I guess Blake Monroe. You know, the one thing, I was so into Ricky Starks and I was so into Mariah May, and they're on NXT, and it's not even getting me to dial in to watch them specifically. So that tells me something about NXT. Yeah. All right. So I also wanted to shout out other folks who were in the chat, who popped in to say what's up. We saw, I got to scroll through Grandpa Dez's comments here. Tyler Helton jumped in, and also Alex Alberto, who he liked the John Cena heel turn. So that was Alex Alberto, man. Shout out to you for liking the John Cena heel turn. All right, I will be back, like I said, more than likely with Paul Fontaine on Monday on Takedown. We'll throw that segment up on YouTube. We'll have the audio up Tuesday morning, and then check out the wrap Wednesday morning, talking about all things WWE. Thank you, Keila. Thank you, Scott. I am Double G. Thank you to everybody who was in the stream, everybody who listened on the audio feed. Peace out.